Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Coffee with a Journalist, brought to you by the team at One Pitch. Are you looking for a more efficient way to find and pitch the right journalists? Head over to our website at onepitch.co to learn more. Today, we're live with Irving Mejia Alaro, the agency's labor and general assignment reporter at Sports Business Journal. Broadcasting live from Dallas, Irving shares his journey covering sports businesses, the role of relationships in journalism, pitching insights, and how Texas gambling laws could reshape the entire industry. So, grab a coffee and tune in.
Everyone, welcome. This is Coffee with a Journalist. I'm Beck Bamberger, and we interview and speak to reporters, freelancers, editors, journalists, basically, who give us insight into how we could better work with them as publicists, because we all need help in understanding how this great world of media goes back and forth. And it is a back and forth, and it is relationship driven and all the things. So we got to know how to better work with each other, in my opinion. And with us today, coming all the way from, wait a second, Wait, are you in Michigan or are we in Texas right now?
I'm in
Irving?
Dallas. I live here in Dallas. I'm just from Michigan.
Oh, okay. My bad okay. We have Irving Mejia Alaro, who is the agency's labor / general assignment reporter at Sports Business Journal. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about sports and all the other things. Welcome, Irving. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Beck. It's a pleasure to be here.
We are excited. So first off, I think this is important in the context for here, but I also ask it pretty much of all the outlets I now speak to. How would you describe the coverage of Sports Business Journal? Not too many people see that.
Yeah, no, pretty easy, right? We are a B2B publication at the end of the day, a trade publication, trade magazine. We specialize in exactly what the first two words of our publication name are, sports business. What I tell people pretty much if I ever go talk to them is like, we care about the real minutia of how sports business works, whether it's like the technology side, whether it's like the facility side, you name it, right? If it involves sports and it involves money, that's where we want to be. So that's the SBJ in a big nutshell.
That's like the tagline. If it involves sports and it involves money, that's us. All right, like it. And now specifically to your beat, which I haven't seen like this level of specification before, agencies and labor. So what does that encompass? Is it like the labor of the sports stadiums, or is it the labor of the sports talent, or all of the above?
The labor portion relates specifically to like the players association. So like the NBA players union, NFL players union, right? And connecting with all of these guys and talking about the issues that they're all sort of going through. Now, mind you, I sort of still just arrived at this beat 3 months ago. So like that part of the beat, we're very much still forming out. But I think the hope of it is that in the future, like I'll be connected with a bunch of the people, the agencies that is within that space that can help talk to all the players who can speak on any number of issues that they're dealing with within the union that will hopefully advance like their positioning and their narrative. Again, like trying to get more rights from the NFL or the NBA, their respective leagues.
Yeah. Ooh, this must be a fascinating beat. What have you learned so far since it's been only a few months?
Oh, man.
What surprised you?
I guess the one thing that has really jumped out at me, whether it's on the agencies or the labor side, is just how, and this is, I guess, more of an SBJ related thing, is just how much we are like we care about how much the sausage like gets made, right? Like very, very often I will bump into like PR or like sources, where I go and interview them and then they're kind of talking and then they go, oh, but that's really boring and you wouldn't want to know about that. And then I'm like, no, I'm trying. That's exactly where I'm at, And so many times I have to like reel people back and be like, no, like tell me like the most boring thing in the world, because that's what I care about, Even if it doesn't make it into a story, I can at least, keep this in mind for the future. So that's been kind of funny to learn about.
Yeah, that's a fun time, the fun stuff of trade publications sometimes. It's like, oh, no, this is our jam. Totally. Love that. Okay, Irving, how is your inbox?
Busy.
Sure, booked.
I'm sure that like other people have come onto this same podcast and told you about the way their inbox looks. And lucky for me, again, still new here. So my inbox isn't as busy as I'm sure it'll be a year from now. But like I still end up getting dozens, maybe up to like 30 or 50 emails a day. It is exhausting to go through that thing sometimes.
And what is your process at all, if there is one, to do so?
I like to wake up in the morning and like the first thing that I do is like check all my emails for if I miss anything like from the day before, or if some people are maybe starting before me, like the East Coasters are usually starting before me. So like they usually end up sending some stuff to me. But throughout the day, checking that thing, by the end of the day, I want like 0 unread things in my inbox. I check that thing. I can't stand seeing like 1 or 2 sitting there.
I don't know. It just drives me bonkers.
I don't know what it is.
It's something, I don't know why it's so satisfying, because I'm in the same camp here. When you get to 0 and then you get that little message, at least in Gmail, and it's like, I think they say now, like, hooray, you've read all your emails. It's so satisfying.
It fills me with joy, frankly. Like if I see that, man, like it's a little something at the end of the day that like I did my work, I did my research,
did my work,
and the emails are all gone.
Yeah. Irving, you said earlier that you have an example of a good pitch and you have an example of maybe not a great pitch. So would you like to start off with maybe a good one that you enjoyed?
Yeah, we'll talk about the good one first. Also, these guys were persistent. The story ended up actually making it into the SBJ. The gist of the story basically was just that like the city in Nevada, Reno, is building up this track facility. And the pitch specifically mentioned a lot of things that I was really interested in. One of which was that like, what is the actual impact that this thing has to the city? And then like a monetary amount of like, look, I can't give you like an exact amount, but that like, here's an idea that gives you sort of like how much this thing actually costs to like build up this thing, which like, if we're a publication that's in the weeds about this stuff, well, that's what I want, right? If you can come to me right away with a pitch that has like the numbers in there, it even had like an invite for us to go out to Reno. I couldn't make it because I'm out here in Dallas, but like that was a really nice thing that like they included that in there. I know that you guys are legit if you guys are willing to invite us out there enough. So it had a lot of elements of a pitch that I really admired. We took it to my editor said, go for it. And then we ended up writing the story.
I love that. And I love also hey, we'll fly out here. Come on over.
Come and see it, right? Like if you really want to like write this story for real, like come out here and see it. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance because again, just too busy on a day-to-day. But like in the future, I'd love to see it.
Amazing. Look at that. Okay. I like that. Now, what's an example of one you didn't like as much?
By the way, I'm not being mean to these folks at all. I actually thought that what was within the pitch, the story that you could have dug out of that was kind of interesting. But the pitch basically was about the Super Bowl. It's going to be in New Orleans this year. And tagline was along the lines of like, New Orleans ties for most championships, like most cities or most championships hosting like a city, right? Which a bit boring to me. But like what was actually within the pitch was a thing about how we've hosted more cities in a lot of we've hosted a lot more big events in other cities. How does New Orleans actually do it? Like, what's the secret ingredient to what New Orleans does that keeps attracting big events over there, that keeps attracting like the Eras Tour? Like they did the Eras Tour and then the Super Bowl. And it's like, that's fascinating to me, you know, but like they should have started off their pitch with like that immediate thing of just like, look, this is you know about the city, you know how big of a deal it is within the sports business world. Here's what we can offer you. And instead it took until like the fourth paragraph for them to mention stuff that like I thought was interesting. But again, like it took so long to get to it. And like, it was, but there was good stuff in there.
Wow. Okay. So they missed. See, what a bummer.
Today's interview will continue after this brief message brought to you by One Pitch. Are you curious to learn about the unique ways One Pitch helps brands engage with the right journalists? Head to onepitch.co and create your own custom media list in 5 minutes or less. Now back to today's episode.
Okay. Irving, you love to get to zero in the inbox. I like that. Do you otherwise do some foldering, some way that you find an email from maybe 6 months ago that you then dig up?
You know, I used to at my old job when like I was a GA and it was just kind of all over the place. But now because I have a beat that I specifically cover, kind of everything in my inbox comes back to like one thing. Maybe in the future, I think I will at some point just because things are going to get kind of a bit out of control with all the different agencies that I cover. And like maybe I should have one for like WME and Wasserman and blah, blah. But like for now, no. But I'm sure that'll be a goal for me in 2025. You just gave me something
for now. No. Got it. Okay. Excellent. What about relationship building for you? Do you ever want to meet publicists? You ever want to see them, etc.?
Oh, all the time. I want to get to know you guys because like specifically in my beat, right? Like a lot of this is going to come down to relationship building and you guys having the trust in me to like, hey, quick heads up, we're going to acquire an agency, or hey, heads up, the labor is going to like our union is going to make some moves here. You know, like you guys need to be able to trust me as much as I need to be able to trust you guys. And especially within the agencies world, everybody's trying to top one another. Everybody's trying to say, we're the biggest, we're the first to do this, we're whatever, we're this and that. And I'm not trying to be mean, of course, like go for it. That's your job at the end of the day as a publicist. But, you know, like I want to be able to just like see you face to face, whether it's here like on a screen, like let's communicate with each other so that you trust me and I trust you.
Yeah. Okay. And so let me just back that up even further. Is that like, oh my gosh, I'm in Texas, do you want to meet up for coffee? Or is it just over time, over email or whatever it is?
No, if you're in North Texas, like let me know. And like I know all the good coffee joints in downtown. Like I know where to go. So like if you're in the area, come and talk to me. Even if it's just for like an hour, even if we're even really not like formally pitching stuff, like let's just talk. What's the worst that can happen?
Nothing. Really?
Literally.
You don't write about any of my clients. Okay. Like fine. Okay, great. What about sources? Are sources increasingly important for you? And are you keeping a Rolodex of them, let's say?
Rolodex? No, I know that journalists used to keep a Rolodex of sources. Literally, like it used to be, it's a little fun visual idea. But no, I don't personally, just because like most of the time I'm able to keep stuff organized enough that like I know who to talk to, specifically within my beat, like in agencies and labor, like I know who the publicist is at WME and I know who the publicist is at Excel, that I can just go to them and be like, hey, can I go and talk to one of your guys' agents? Or maybe sooner enough later down the line with the beat, I'll just have the agent's direct number and we can just kind of skip that whole line. So for now, I don't have a Rolodex. Maybe another thing in the future, but that's one that I kind of doubt that I'll ever need.
I like that. I just go straight to the agent. That's perfect.
Straight to the source. Straight
to the source, more efficient, more direct, et cetera. I'm hearing that more from journalists as we're chatting with them. Could you give us a little bit, I'm asking this more often, a little bit more insight into how the story comes to be? Now, if it's for a freelancer, for example, now they got to pitch it to an editor and so forth. I just had someone on talking about how I put it in the Slack and then they let me know. How does it work for you all there? Do you have a daily meeting and you say, hey, I want to do these 3 stories. Do I have the okay? Or are you just posting what give us the breakdown of the insight there? Because we're all pitching something.
Good question, right? Especially like, because I'm a remote worker. Our publication is based in Charlotte. I'm here in Dallas. I like to call myself like our Texas bureau. Do not call me that. That's not an official position. But like with me being a remote worker, the way that I end up pitching stories a lot is like, let's say a publicist sends me something and then I see it in my inbox and then I go, I think this is kind of interesting. I forward the email to my editor and then over Teams, which is how we communicate, I go, hey, I sent you something that I think is interesting. Let me know when you take a look at it and we'll sort of like go back and forth on it. Maybe over email, we go back and forth on like, does this thing deserve to be like in the daily? Does it deserve a spot on like a newsletter? Is it a print story maybe, or does it just straight up not need any coverage at all? So a lot of communication really over these kinds of things. And then we usually end up meeting at least once a week. So sometimes in those meetings too, I'll be like, hey, by the way, I saw this thing, haven't sent it to you yet, but I think this thing is interesting. So I think that's another good way to communicate with them too.
Okay. I like this. Good. So then it just goes that, and then it's like, yep, that's good. We like that, and so forth.
Yeah. And then I get given the green light to write something, and then I just go and chase it. And then I have it done hopefully sooner as opposed to later.
What's the most exciting story in the last year you've done? And the reason I ask that is we're filming this in December and I'm kind of in the reflective mode. And so, yeah, or maybe surprising.
So being here in Texas, the thing that I never thought I would get so attached to, but I have found so fascinating is the legalization of gambling down here, because it directly impacts all the sports teams down here. The Mavericks are one of those teams that have like for a while now been looking to connect an arena with a casino, and that would make them like the first ever team to do so. It would be huge. They've specifically brought in people from Las Vegas Sands to help them with this. And then imagine like what that does for the Cowboys, a international like conglomerate business, right? That like now has the capacity to, who knows, right? Maybe they can put slot machines in AT&T Stadium. Maybe they can air commercials like on that giant jumbotron for the casinos next door, like, because like,
fascinating.
Maybe on the surface, it's like, well, gambling in Texas, what does that have to do with sports? But like everything, it is everything to do with it. So I'm so fascinated by that stuff. I can't wait to see how the legislation moves forward with it.
Yeah. Do you think it's going to trickle up at all to federal level? Probably not. This seems very state by state.
Probably not. No, I don't think so. I think we've been seeing right now that like we're leaving it up to the states to figure out how they want to handle it. And to be fair, a lot of states have already moved forward with legalization. So like people are just more arguing whether or not it's a matter of time for Texas.
Matter of time. Irving, do you have any like hot takes for 2025?
In general?
In your area, your arena. I mean, in general, we'll take in general too, but yeah.
Oh man, hot take for 2025 in my arena. No, unfortunately, not a lot of like hot takes. It's a lot of stuff that like I'm already kind of hearing before, which is that like in my arena, expect a lot more acquisitions, expect a lot more consolidations of the smaller sports agencies to the bigger ones. Expect a lot of these agencies that are already dealing with maybe like one specific sport, or maybe they deal in like one specific league or whatever, probably getting eaten up by the bigger ones just because like financially it's the better decision. They'll give them more resources. So probably not a hot take that you're going to hear from much of anybody, but like if there's one thing I'm looking forward to in 2025 of seeing more of, it's these smaller agencies kind of trying to survive in a really big pond. And then just other hot take for 2025, I don't actually think that Spider-Verse is going to come out. It's not going to happen. They said that it would, and it's not gonna. So whatever.
Why do you think it's not gonna?
It's like a whole animated thing. Like, have you the first two are like so beautiful, like visually. Like, there's no way you can get it done in like a year. I sincerely doubt it's going to happen. There's zero chance.
Zero chance. Okay. Sounds good. Is there anything a publicist can do to make your life easier?
Oh man, so many things. So many things.
Let's hit it. Let's hit the list.
I guess one of the things that I would appreciate if publicists could do ahead of time is, look, oftentimes there's things that like your source just can't talk about, right? There's like, look, we know you're going to ask about this thing, but I'm going to give you a heads up. You're not going to get much of an answer on it. Thank you. Fantastic. You're already saving me a bunch of time, but I'm going to ask the question anyways, whether it's on like how much of this facility costs or whatever, right? I'm going to ask the question anyways. And maybe you
come prepared.
Yeah, maybe you don't answer it, but like I don't want the publicist thinking that like like I'm not gonna ask that question at all. But like you should know that like I'm gonna ask this thing. Another thing too that I think is really important is communication. Obviously, like if you guys just keep talking with me about what's going on in your guys' space, like it helps me out wonders, right? Even if, and I keep saying this to all the agencies, even if it seems inconsequential, even if it seems really small, send it my way. I just want to know what's happening. Like, I just want to know what's happening because it helps inform my reporting in the future and it helps inform me. So just keep talking to me. But there's lots of stuff. There's lots of things that publicists can do to make sure that reporters are A, well-informed, and then B, that we're not screwing this thing up. Because again, this is a back and forth that we have to have with one another.
That's interesting you point that out of it's not a pitch. It's just a, hey, what's going on? Not a pitch. I'm not looking for a story. I just want to be like, hey, just keep you informed. Just letting you know, like in the agency world, right? By all means, just like, by all means, if your agency signs a player, look, maybe I'm not going to cover that. Like, I'm probably not going to write something big about that, but like, let me know because it lets me know about the movement of your respective agency and lets me know like what you guys are targeting, even without having to implicitly say, oh, we're targeting more football clients. I can see that you're signing them. I already keep an eye on it, but like, just talk to me. Okay. Okay. I like this. Anything else you want to convey to publicists?
Just talk to me, man. Just talk to me.
You're here. You're available.
I'm here. I'm available, and like I want to talk to you guys. So like, if it's possible for us to grab a coffee or something, like
refreshing. I love this.
I think we should communicate more with one another.
Okay.
In professional settings.
I love it. Well, Irving, I have a hot list of questions, rapid fire questions to get into. Are you ready for these?
I love it. I'm ready.
Okay. Yes. How about video or phone interview?
I'm good with either, but if I can have a preference, video, just because I can see you, we can communicate, and also less likelihood that we cut each other off because I can't see when you're going to finish and end your sentence.
Yes. Okay. Bullet points or paragraphs?
Generally speaking, paragraphs, but I also don't mind some good bullet points. Generally speaking.
Short or long pitches?
Please keep them short. I'm begging you. Please.
I'm begging you. Images attached or a Dropbox zip file?
Please attach them. Not that the Zipbox is bad or anything, but just like sometimes they can be a bit finicky.
Yeah, I know. And then you got another link you got to go to.
Just put them in the email.
Okay, email or a DM of some sort?
Oh, please email me. I have had people DM me, and I think I don't think it's strange or anything, but just like my email is right there. You can just
right there.
Yep, you can just go to that. I suppose I respect the personal element of it to some extent, and you'll certainly get a response from me, but just email me.
Yeah. It's fascinating to me when people are like, well, let me hit them up on, I don't know. Okay. One follow-up or multiple?
Oh, just one. Oh, I think like, listen, if you want to send me multiple, that's fine. But like, it's the same way that like, you wouldn't like triple text, like somebody that you're trying to like date, like they show that they're not interested. Like if I wanted to respond, I would respond, but one follow-up definitely please. Cause maybe I forget it or something.
Yeah, it happens. Okay. And what about subject lines? Direct or creative?
Ooh.
We didn't really talk about that yet. Yeah.
I would prefer direct. I would prefer it to be direct, and because it's the same thing with that New Orleans headline of like they were trying to be a bit creative of like we've hosted all these things, but like if you would have just said at the start of it that like we can put you in contact with somebody that like can talk to why this city is so important or something. If we would have just been more direct about it, it would have had a better chance.
Yes, exactly. Okay, almost done with our list. Press release or media kit?
Media kits, just because they're more comprehensive. But if all you have is a press release, don't even worry about it.
Time you read pitches. Now, you said you're looking all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And then we already talked about sources, so I think we're good with that. Last words. Irving, do you have anything that you want to promote, tout, celebrate, etc.? Just anything we could say about you?
Well, I guess I just got here to the SBJ
I know.
three months ago. I'm still very young in this beat. It's my first time really ever having a beat too, as like an adult reporter, which is really strange. So I guess just a big thank you to my bosses over here at the Sports Business Journal for having me. I appreciate them. And while you guys are at it, keep reading my coverage about agencies and labor and general assignment stuff. This is a very busy space, and
seems like it's getting busier too.
It's only going to, only going to keep getting busier. And then also, Mac Miller has a new album coming out in January that everybody should listen to. I'm very excited about it.
Noted. Noted. I'll get on that right now on Spotify. Okay. Irving, thank you so much for joining us today. Everyone, this is Irving Mejia Alaro. He is the agency / labor and general assignment reporter at Sports Business Journal. If you have sports and it has money, then this is the person to talk to. That's how I would sum it up.
You nailed it. Thank you, Beck.
Happy holidays too, Irving. Thanks for being here.
Happy holidays.
Thanks for listening to this week's Coffee with a Journalist episode with Irving Mejia Alaro, the agency's labor and general assignment reporter at Sports Business Journal. For more exclusive insights about the journalists on this podcast, subscribe to our weekly podcast newsletter at onepitch.co/podcast. We'll see you next week, but until then, start great stories.